Hi, Dr. Karen.
Uh, Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Finally.
Yeah, I'm so glad you checked in because it would have happened again.
Yeah, the problem is for me, 12 p.m. IST showing 5:30 p.m. AEST. I don't know why that is happening.
No, I think it's showing you AEDT. So some parts of Australia are on daylight saving time, but I'm in Brisbane in Queensland and we don't have daylight saving time. So I think what you're seeing is AEDT when I'm AEST. And some
Okay.
websites they just assume everyone's on AEDT. So I think that's why. But we're here, so it's okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Thank God. I,
Yeah.
thank God.
Yeah,
I actually, otherwise, then we would have repeated the same thing again.
no, that's okay. I felt so terrible because I was downstairs, like I was because my office is upstairs. I was downstairs having dinner and I was practicing and everything, and I left my phone upstairs, and I realized later you were messaging me on WhatsApp, and you were.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I'm so sorry that happened,
No,
but
that's
at
completely
least
fine. That's the problem is people had joined last week, so I think almost six of them had joined, and we were waiting. And I was trying to connect with you, and that was not happening. And
but
that's
yeah, well, I'll
completely
make
fine.
yeah, we'll do a good one today. So
Yeah.
hopefully they'll come back and you record it and use it however you want to as
Yes, we
well.
are the session is being recorded. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So
Good.
let's then wait. Basically, we had given them 12 p.m. IST, so we are still 10 minutes
Okay,
left. Yeah.
that's fine.
So we
That's
can just.
great. And did you get many other people to register?
Yes, so until last week it was 14 who had registered for the session, and then
Yeah.
post we did the session has been postponed. Post went live on LinkedIn, and now I think we are at 25.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's really good.
So I'll just
And what?
also go back and check if there are any more registrations. Until yesterday it was 25.
Yep. Oh, good. And what part of India are you in?
I'm based out of Bombay,
Okay.
Mumbai. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think we said yeah. I was there in June this year. I like Bombay. It's very nice.
You were
I
in
I took
Mumbai?
I was in yeah. I took 11 students from the university there for 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
When
No, it
did
was
that
very,
happen?
very
When
good.
when were you here?
In June, the rainy like the monsoon season had just
Oh,
started.
okay.
Yeah.
I
So
think
it was
we
good.
were
So
not
we
connected then. I think the first time
no,
we connected was in the month of September.
yes, yeah. So we did something very Mumbai like we stood out in the rain and ate vada pav.
Yeah. So right now it's a bit cold here considering Mumbai's temperature. So right now we are at
Mm,
so for Mumbai, the highest that we have went is 40 degrees. That's the highest that we
yes,
have touched. And right now it's 26, 27. So for us, it is fairly
it's
cold out
cold.
here.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's summer over here, or nearly summer, but it's very hot. Where I live up the top of Australia, and so it's not as it's got a lot of humidity in the summer. Not like nowhere like not like Mumbai, like no,
Oh,
nothing like that. But
yeah.
it's compared to other parts of Australia, it's very humid. So
Oh,
yeah,
uh,
that's good. Have you ever been to Australia?
no, not yet.
Yeah, you should come one day. It's
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Would love to. That is on my list right now.
excellent. Excellent.
Hi Jill, hi Dr. Jayashree.
Hi Sneha. Hello Karen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Nice.
Dr. Karen, I think we'll start. It's already 12, and then people
Okay.
can join, yeah, as so we are delighted to welcome Dr. Karen Sutherland for today's session, AI in Action, Market Research and Audience Personas. Dr. Sutherland is a multi-award winning educator, author and certified AI consultant from the University of the Sunshine Coast, Australia. As the co-founder and director of Dharna Digital Agency, she specializes in leveraging AI to drive strategic marketing and communication outcomes. With more than a decade of experience designing and delivering coaching, training, and conducting workshops across sectors, including health and wellness, small businesses, higher education, non-profit organizations, and aging populations. Dr. Karen brings a deeply practical, industry grounded, and global perspective to her work. Her research spans AI in strategic communication, B2B relationship management, and social media training. She is also an author of the widely downloaded book Strategic Social Media Management Theory and Practice, as well as Transmedia Brand Storytelling. Today, Dr. Karen will guide us through how AI is transforming market insights and deepening audience understanding. Dr. Karen, we look forward to your insights on this exciting topic. Thank you for joining us, and let's begin this session.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And it's a real honor to be here. I'll just bring up my slides so that we can begin. So, in today's session, there are a few things I would like to cover, and I'm going to do a couple of live demonstrations using ChatGPT as well. So, we'll begin just by looking at how AI has impacted market research today and how it continues as the technology evolves. Then we'll look at and explore just some ethical approaches to the use of AI, things we really need to consider when we're using AI in general, but particularly for market research and when you're developing audience personas. And also some best practices in I've developed a process from my research on how to get the most efficient and effective content out of a generative AI tool, as well as doing it in a way that is accurate and aligns with your brand as well and the clients and brands you're representing. So then I'll do a live demonstration showing you how ChatGPT deep research function can be used for market research, and then another live demonstration using ChatGPT's agent mode and developing an audience persona. And then there'll be some time for questions at the end as well. So there are a lot of challenges in terms of market research now, but we sort of the way technology has evolved over the last say 10 to 20 years, it's given us a lot more data that we can work with. I mean, originally market research was very difficult to actually go out and conduct because you had to do things like market research or even paper surveys and things like that, which was quite cumbersome. And these methods still happen today, but now we because of the technology and the tools we've got available, it means that we can conduct much more complex research, but because of that, we need to have the knowledge to be able to actually do that complex research. It can also be time consuming, even with all the tools we have today. While it may be faster than we're doing it manually, it still takes a lot of time to find the right sample and design the study and go out and then gather the data, analyze it, and things like that. It's quite a long process. There are lots of data sources and places where you can get data now as well, which is great, but it can also be quite overwhelming when you're working out, what data sets to use and where to get those sources from. And because things are moving so quickly, there's an expectation that we need to have these insights from market research much faster to go along and to keep the pace of everything else that's happening, around the world, not only in technology, but the way different markets and industries are moving. And so this really makes market research much more complex and challenging than it has in the past, even with all the new technology that we have. But AI is starting to really assist with that process because it can analyze huge amounts of data very quickly. That's one of the great benefits of AI. Whereas again, if you were doing things manually, just as a human, it would just take so long. It can also undertake multiple research tasks at the same time using different technologies and agents and things like that. So it can speed up the research process from weeks to even minutes. However, there's still things you need to consider and when you're using AI because it is not 100% foolproof. The benefits of using AI for marketers is that, as I said, it can be very fast and efficient once you set it up correctly. It helps to assist what you're doing, not replace it. At this stage, AI can help with certain parts of a task, but you wouldn't go and get it to do the whole job of someone else because you still need that person there, that human, to oversee what it's doing. It can cover a really broad knowledge base, particularly, generative AI tools have been trained on so much information that it can help you to actually get a lot of information around certain niche topics because the knowledge base is so broad. And it's also very helpful in helping you to brainstorm and come up with ideas. I love it in the sense that it can help me to almost see different perspectives of, say, a challenge, or if I was, for example, pitching to a client or putting something together that I wanted the person or the audience I was giving it to give me some insight into what they might see in that piece of content or report. AI is very good at sort of helping you to see different angles and perspectives that you may not have thought of. But with the benefits, there are always limitations, and we need to really, before we start using AI, really understand, yes, what it can do, but also what it can't do. So we're very well aware of those things going into it. It still hallucinates a lot. And even though with each new model that comes out, so we're on ChatGPT 5.1 at the moment, it still hallucinates. So they're getting fewer, and the hallucination rate is reducing, but it's still not 100% perfect. So we need to be aware of that when we're using it. Also, the data, if you're using the sort of tools that are publicly available, things like ChatGPT, Claude, those sorts of tools, they've been trained on biased data. So you have to be aware that if unless you prompt it correctly and really check it and push back on the things that it's giving to you, it can give you very biased information, and that's just because of the information it's been trained on. So an example of that is, so it was last year, I asked ChatGPT to generate an image of a lecturer celebrating the end of the semester. And ChatGPT, I've been using it for a long time. It has a memory of me and things like that, but I didn't prompt it correctly. So its generic output of a lecturer celebrating the end of semester was a young, skinny, able-bodied white man in the lecture theatre. And then no disrespect to lecturers like that, but that was the default of what ChatGPT thought a lecturer would be. So it wasn't a woman, it wasn't someone from a different cultural background, it was automatically that. So you've got to be very careful when you're using it to make sure that you're being very inclusive and it's not giving you that biased information. Essentially, it doesn't really have a true understanding or context. So it cannot think, even though it seems sometimes like it's reasoning and thinking, it's just finding patterns in things and bringing together all the information that it's been trained on and what you're giving it to come up with solutions of the stuff that it's been given. But it's up to us to really provide that context and that understanding and make sure that we're really critically analyzing and critically assessing everything that it's giving to us. And the other thing is what I like to call a human sparkle. It doesn't have that yet. I hope it never does, but it doesn't have that yet. So often, even when you train AI, generative AI, on the way that you write and things like that, it still doesn't have that personality perfectly. So you need to add that human sparkle. And even in the images and videos it creates, you can tell it doesn't have that sparkle in the eye that humans have either. And so this is what we have to remember, that it doesn't have, and we're the ones who have to actually add it once we generate the content that we want from it. Just some things to think about in terms of ethics and effective use of AI. So it's about using it as a starting point. So still being involved in the process, fact checking and editing, because of the hallucinations that it can generate, is really important. And then editing to make it sound more like you and more aligned with brand values and things like that. The other thing is making sure that you're not putting confidential information into AI tools. It's a bit different if your company has built their own and you've got that data security in there, and you can change settings on, say, ChatGPT to make sure that it's not training on material, but it's still advised not to put in financial information, people's contact information, those sorts of things in there. It's just as a safety measure. And I'm sure you've got privacy policies at your organization that would prevent that sort of thing from happening as well. And I only say that because I still today hear stories of, for example, at a university that I will not say, in the student scholarship area. I know someone who works there, and they overheard a staff member putting in student details into the free version of ChatGPT. And this university has an AI policy, but clearly they haven't communicated it very well, and the person doing it didn't understand why you wouldn't do that. So it's just really important to make sure that if you want to use it to analyze data and things like that, just make sure that you redact that information, take out, anonymize it, that sort of thing, making sure that identifiable information and sensitive information doesn't go in there. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, just checking for bias and also compliance with any regulations that you need to comply with in your particular industry, making sure that don't assume that the AI understands it and has done that for you. It's always important to check. So this is the process I mentioned before around using AI to generate content. So there's 3 stages when you're creating anything, really, isn't there? So first of all, and particularly with generative AI, the first stage is preparation. So the more context you can give an AI tool, the better. So if you can give it examples of what you want it to produce, and you give it the details, like you were giving it information to, say, a new staff member when you want them to complete a task, who is it for? What is it for? What format do you want it to be? Sort of the who, what, where, when, how, and why of the particular task, and examples, and then use that to draft your prompt. And as we get to the demonstrations, I'll show you examples of what that looks like, what the prompts look like. And so it's about sort of gathering that information. So if you jump straight to stage 2 without that contextual information, you'll get very frustrated because it's very rare that the AI will give you exactly what you want, and you'll go back and forth, and you'll just, you might just give up and go, I'll do it myself. So gathering that information first is important, and then putting the prompt that you've drafted in. And the sort of prompt optimization, this sort of chain of thought reasoning, is when you're going back and forth. And so a good thing is when I talked about the bias, you would push back on that and refine your prompt and to get it to do something more in line with what you need. And so it's very rare too that you get exactly what you want first go from the AI. So it's sort of a conversation. If you think about any sort of creative process, when you're working with, say, an external supplier, say a graphic designer or a video producer or someone like that, even with your colleagues, when you're working on a task, there's always a lot of sort of back and forth where you're working on the output to make sure it's the best it can be. Then finally is the final stage, which is the post-production stage, when you check any facts that it's put in there, and just making sure that it can. What I think trips people up is that AI can write very well, and so in my book, Artificial Intelligence for Strategic Communication, I talk about be aware of the articulate idiot, because AI can sound so knowledgeable, but it can just still be wrong. It can still be very wrong. So, and it can make up referencing and articles and all sorts of things like that. So you need to check those. And a recent example of that was Deloitte here in Australia. They were paid $440,000 by the Australian government to produce a report. And it turns out that report, the majority of that report contained factual errors, invalid statistics, and lots of references to scholarly articles that just did not exist. And so Deloitte had to actually pay that money back. And then I read this week that it happened with Deloitte in some other country as well, a similar situation. So this is why fact checking is so important. Then you do the editing stage, of course, to make sure, because again, it's really important to add your flavor to it and make it align with your brand and brand voice. And then the synthesis part is like looking at where is it going to go. So, for example, if it's a report, making sure that it has the structure of a report, that it complies with the in-house guidelines around that sort of thing, and then it's ready to go. So you can see there, it's not just a case of jumping on AI and going, do this, and then just sending it out. And I really like to include this process in my AI presentations because of the research I conducted for my book. I surveyed 400 strategic communicators from the US, Australia, and the UK. 40% deemed fact-checking AI-generated content as only moderately important, and 49% of them weren't editing at all. And that just horrifies me. So I'd like to just share that message in there, just because I think more and more in the media, we're seeing instances where this is becoming an issue. So I just like to include that. Now, moving on to prompt basics. So I think you've probably seen a lot of presentations about prompting, and I mean, it wasn't a sort of a new thing when ChatGPT first came out, and it's still a skill that is really important, and it's essentially a communication skill, really, because what you're doing is you're telling the AI what you want and then how you want it, and the more specific you can be, the better the result will be that you'll get out of it. So in terms of what you want, it's about really thinking about those core communication principles. So what do you want this piece or this output to actually achieve, and who is it for? Because that's really important. And why are you creating it? And what are the important details that the AI needs to take into account? And these can be things around, your organization, clearly not sensitive information, but it could be around the type of organization, the products or services, those important details that will help you if the AI knows, because it can include those in. And then, the overall result you're hoping to achieve by the piece. And then when you're talking about how you want it, it's really the formatting. So what I like to do, and I'm sure you've heard this before too, is to give the AI a role and tell it what sort of role it is, because then it can sort of click into that, because you think it's been trained on so much information that if you're more specific about the type of skills you want it to show in the output, then it can sort of get closer to what you need it to be. So it depends on what you want. It could be a copywriter, social media manager. It depends on what it is you're trying to create. And I'll show you in the demos that's relevant to this presentation. Also, the communication channel. So is it a report? Is it going to be a video? You know, what is it actually going to be? What do you want it to produce? Then the branding elements. And there's ways you can sort of skip this process by creating a custom GPT and training it on the brand elements, but that's another workshop. But that can help. But just making sure that it understands, if you've got brand guidelines that aren't sensitive information, confidential information, you can even like upload a copy, so then it has that to draw on as a contextual piece of information. The things like the length of the piece, the tone, just those really important things that you need to know. And then I always like to ask at the end is, ask the AI, is there any other information that I can provide you to successfully complete this task? Because then it will ask you for information that it needs, and then that saves you having to go so much back and forth as you get through the second stage. So this is an example of a prompt that has all those elements in it. Now, it looks long, but the more detailed it is, the better the result you will actually get out of it. And so it starts off with, you are an experienced, whatever you want it to be, specializing in, and give it the role, like the skill that you want it to have, draft whatever it is. And the purpose of this piece is to, and then of course tell it that, target audience, and details of the target audience, like their demographics, psychographics. Also, if it's going to be targeted at a certain geographical area, include that location, because I find with things like ChatGPT, the default is the USA. So unless you tell it where it is, and make sure that you have not only the place but the country, because sometimes there are places in the USA that are called the same town name. So being very specific. To then tell it about your organization, information, clearly not sensitive information. Important information required to draft this piece is, and then include those details, the result, what you're trying to achieve, and where it's going to go, the format, and then any contextual documents you can provide it, and then end with that question. Is there anything else I can give to you to make it resonate? So with that in mind, let's begin our first demo. So we're going to use ChatGPT Deep Research. So what we're going to do is, the scenario is that you work for a nutraceutical ingredient supplier. So we're going to do some research on ashwagandha, and I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. I take it every day, but yeah, I haven't actually said it before. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and understand its market adoption in a few different regions in the world, and then see if we can sort of uncover some consumer interest trends. So let's first go over to the prompt. Now, this is the prompt here. And this is what it says. So using the format that I've said before, I've said you are an experienced market research analyst specializing in global nutraceutical trends and consumer health behaviors, draft and an executive summary. And then the purpose is to identify and explain current regional trends in the use of ashwagandha in dietary supplements. And the target audience is strategic marketers and product development teams in these industries across, the regions we want, and more about the organization. And then important details down here in terms of the demand trajectory they want to know, regional differences, product formats, popular positioning, that sort of thing. And then the aim of the piece is to inform product strategy and regional positioning by understanding market potential and differentiation opportunities and where it's going to go. So it's going to be like a internal product strategy document to be used in executive briefings. The tone, the length, so 300 to 500 words, written in UK English. And then examples. I don't have examples, but for the demo, but that's okay. I'll take those out so it doesn't ask me for them, and then it'll ask me that at the end. So what I've done, because using Gamma and then sort of copying and pasting prompts out is a bit clunky. So what I've done is I've got it here. So let me copy that. We'll go over to ChatGPT. So we're going to use deep research here. So this is with the Plus subscription. So let me put this in. I'm going to take out the examples because let me do that. And we'll see what it says. Is there anything else you need from me? So deep research here, and let's have a look. Okay. So then it's come back with all these things. So to ensure the executive summary is fully aligned with your objectives, please confirm the following. The time horizon. Are you interested in only 20 to 24 to 2025 trends? Let's say, yeah, let's just say 2024 to 2025. Source priorities. I'll just say all. 3, competitive focus. Again, I'll just say all. And then 4, regulatory context. Should we touch on any region? I'll just say all. We'll see what it does. And then hit return. So now it's starting the research. And you can see here, this is sort of the timeline. And so now it's opened another window as it starts to search. And so here it's sort of showing you what it's doing. And then over here, it'll have the sources as it's grabbing them. So it takes a bit longer than your normal prompt because what it's doing is it's actually going off now with that prompt in mind and searching the internet. While it's doing that, I might move on and we'll come back and see what it's doing. So the next stage of this, so once it's come back and with that, we'll drill down even further into it with a follow-up prompt. So asking which companies or brands are leading in these particular supplements in those regions and list a few key players and any unique approaches or products that they have. And by doing that, it helps you to be even more specific with the information. And it means that you're really, I guess, being much more in depth with your analysis to pull out much more meaningful information. And it then will help you to get that information out for another step in this process. Okay, so we'll go back and check in on it. So it's telling you what it's doing. So it's like it's piecing together things where it's checking. and it's still compiling sources. Okay. So then we'll get to the second step. And then the third step in this whole process is then once it gives the trends and the competitors and articulates them, we'll get it then so based on those trends and competitors, what market opportunities are unmet or unmet consumer needs might exist for a new product in this line, and suggest any gaps. So again, it's not only bringing you the information, it's also drilling down even further to find opportunities for you as well. Let's go back. So yeah, it's still going through. So we'll come back and we'll do those steps in just a second once it brings back the information. The next one is creating an audience persona with ChatGPT agent mode. What I might do too is I'll open another window of ChatGPT. So we'll have two things on the go, which seems like a lot, but I think sometimes these things take a little bit of time. So it would be better than just sitting there sort of waiting for it. So with this one, the scenario is that you want to build a detailed audience persona for a particular target segment. And so the scenario is that basically think that there's a company that's launching a wellness supplement for women aged 35 to 55 that's sort of focusing on hormonal balance and stress relief and healthy aging. So what we're going to do is use ChatGPT to draft a persona that sort of captures this segment's characteristics. And then we can also generate multiple personas within that initial group if we want to. So this is the prompts for this one. Again, you know, it tells that you are an experienced marketing strategist specializing in consumer profiling and behavioral segmentation in the health and wellness sector. And you're getting it to develop a detailed buyer persona profile. And then telling it what the purpose is. So to develop a realistic and insight-rich profile of potential customer for that particular supplement. And the target audience is product marketers and communication teams that, you know, work in that particular area. And the organization is UK based. I'm not sure why they're both UK based, but I think because I asked it to use UK English. So, but in this scenario, they're UK based and focus on natural plant supplements. And then we've got the important information that is needed, like the demographics, occupation, family caregiving responsibilities, you know, pain points, frustrations, all those sorts of things that you need in a persona. And then the result is aimed to guide content strategy, product messaging, etc. And the piece will be communicated via internal campaign planning documents. And the format of the piece is conversational but professional. And again, 300 to 400 words in length and structured with clear subheadings. And again, if you've got past personas, so if you have a format for personas that you use in your organization, providing those would be really helpful. So it can really do what you need it to do. And then asking it again, is there anything else that you need? So let's get this one going. So this is here, the one I prepared earlier. So we'll pop that into ChatGPT. Now, in ChatGPT, agent mode is if you click on this, it drops it down, and this is it here, agent mode. An AI agent, so see, with deep research, you're going off and getting it to actually research a particular topic. So it's going off and doing that. With agent mode, you're getting it to go off and actually complete a task. Now, part of that might involve researching, but you're going to go off and do something. So another example I've used before is I've had it go and do like a website audit. So, for example, at the university I work, I'm in a particular research team, and we wanted to update our website. So I used agent mode to go off and look at other research teams and research centres websites in our particular field from other universities, and then compare it with ours and come up with some recommendations. So it took about 10 minutes, but it went off and then analyzed and all of those websites, wrote a little report on each of them, brought it back, did an analysis, and then gave us recommendations of what to do based on their websites. So I mean, that would have taken me about half a day to do, but it took about 10 minutes. And I went off and looked at each of those websites myself, and it was actually pretty good. You know, it was probably at the standard of if you gave it to a junior staff member to go off and do. It was actually at a pretty good standard, which saved a lot of time. So that's the difference. Deep research will go off and just research information about a task, where the agent will go and actually perform a particular task for you. So getting back to this one now, we've got it in here. I will get rid of the examples just so it doesn't confuse it. And so we've got agent mode on and press send. So now it'll ask me some questions. And while that's thinking, we'll go off and see. So it's going through, looking at different sources. Research completed. Sources. And here is the executive summary. So shut that off. So, and it's got all the sources as well that you can click through to. So it's talking about the market demand, regional trends and consumer preferences. So across the US and Europe, Asia Pacific, products and formats, and popular positioning. Okay. So what we might do, and I'm sorry this is a bit confusing, we'll go back to the buyer persona one and get that going, because that will take a little bit of time. So it's saying it has everything it needs. Okay. Of everything needed to craft it. Okay, well, please begin. Okay. So now you can see it's actually going off and doing those tasks. It's going and looking at different sources online. So it's going off and reading all that information before it sort of brings it back into the format that we want. And just as an aside, they're saying agents like this are going to really change the way that we buy things online, because we'll be able to, and people are doing it already, like getting AI agents to go off and, you know, find, say, Christmas presents, a list of, you know, Christmas presents that you could buy for a particular person. And then so they'll come back with a list. I've used it before to, when I was going to the US, I needed to get to Chicago by a certain date and time. And I didn't really know the different flight combinations from the, you know, the Sunshine Coast in Australia where I live. So I used it to go off and look at different combinations. And I mean, that would have taken me hours to go off and do, but it just went off and did it and came back with a range of options that I could then look into, and things that I wouldn't even considered. So I ended up flying via Vancouver into Vancouver in Canada into Chicago, when I wouldn't have even thought about doing that, which was quite interesting. So while that's going, we'll go back now to the first one. So it's got like this summary here. So it's brought all those together. So now we'll drill down a bit further using those previous prompts. So the next follow-up question was around the companies or brands leading in those regions, and list a few key players. And so now it's gone off to do that. Moving back now to this one. So it's got the buyer persona ready. So modern wellness seeker. So mid-40s, where they're living, within commuting distance of a major UK city, bachelor's degree, household income, lifestyle, pain points. And again, you can get all this, information from different websites. I've got all the sources there. Wellness behaviors and purchase habits, so health tracking, supplement use, and shopping channels. This sounds like me. It's pretty spot on. I'm a bit older than 45, but it's pretty spot on. Sources of influence and information, and then communication notes. So, that took a few minutes to pull together, which, if you were finding all of these sources and doing this manually, it would take you half a day. So now we'll go back and drill further into this one. So the next, for the persona with the agent example, the next one we're going to do that is to add more psychographic detail to this persona. What motivates her to seek these solutions? What are her fears or concerns regarding her health? Include a brief day in the life scenario that illustrates her routines and touch points with wellness products. And so again, it's going back and then getting it to drill even more deeply into it to pull out really valuable information that's going to assist. So we'll go and do this one. While we're getting this one going. Okay. So it's cute. Oh, here we go. It's starting to do it now. So again, it just takes a little bit of time. And I think that's better. I think when the AI was super quick, it didn't really give you great information. So you can tell it's actually going off and being quite thorough in what it's doing. And so for this one, it's gone off again, looking at different articles and information to pull that. The next stage of the persona one is then, once it gives you a bit more, in terms of fears and motivations and daily routine, then you ask it, based on this persona, what marketing channels and messaging would most effectively reach her, and suggest 2 to 3 marketing strategies. So this is because you've got that gold now around that persona, that's when you can start really thinking about the marketing and communication to be really super targeted and something that's going to connect with that particular consumer. And here we go. So it's come back. So it's sort of just rehash what it said with the behaviors, but then we get into motivations and fears. So her motivation of primary drama is for exploring natural supplements is her desire to feel in control of her health. Fears and concerns, she worries about the hidden cost of aging. She fears that unmanaged menopausal symptoms could undermine her professional reputation and make her appear less capable. Interesting. And then, you know, there's literature on that from the government there. And this is interesting too. So consequently, she seeks brands that provide transparent ingredient lists, scientific backing, and third-party testing. You know, so you just get those little insights into her personality. And then day in the life. Wakes up about 6:30. She does meditation and, you know, sets the day. Commute and work. Afternoon slump. And then she's got ashwagandha in there as well. Scrolls through Instagram. And then evening routines there. So it's giving you something to sort of to go on. Like, I think what I find with marketing and been working in it, like the most effective campaigns are when you can really get inside of the mind of the consumer that you're trying to connect with. And this sort of just helps you to flesh that out and make her a real person. So with this one, we'll add in the next prompt. The last prompt for this one was based on this persona, what marketing channels and messaging would most effectively reach her? So let's go and pop that in and get that going. And then we'll go back to the market research. So it's still going. So it's still got a little bit to go. So this one's looking at companies and leading brands. So that's taking a bit longer than I expected. So this one now, in terms of suitable channels and messaging. So I'm going back to the buyer persona. So it says that she likes evidence-led content via podcasts and newsletters, and tracks her health and listens to wellness podcasts. So use your own podcast. You know, it's like giving, you know, really good ideas and suggestions on how to get in front of that person with your product. Instagram first social campaigns with credible voices. So not just like your everyday influencer, like people who actually have credentials and qualifications. So you can see nutritionists, physiotherapists, you know, actual clinicians. And then professional channels and in-store touch points. So 3/4 of Britain's rely on pharmacists for over-the-counter advice. So again, educating pharmacists to provide that detail and recommend products is important. Campaign ideas. So science-backed self-care challenge is one. Wellness in Balance masterclass series. So it could be like a series of, you know, webinars and things with other marketing collateral around it. And mind and body pop-up tour. So host pop-up events at yoga studios, farmers markets, and things like that. And I think these are pretty good ideas that really align with that persona. So that's the end of that example. And I can provide you with all of these prompts as well as the slides if you wanted to try and experiment with this particular agent mode for ChatGPT for your own organization. And now, that was good timing. So now we're on the second stage of this one. So regional trends. So we've got here notable brands in this region. So we've got Now Foods, Nature's Bounty, and what they're doing as well. And then what's happening across Europe. and then Asia Pacific with the, the Blue and Himalaya, and so key takeaways. So it's sort of found that information and synthesized it in a really easy format. So we'll do the final stage of this one, which was based on those strengths and competitors, what market opportunities or unmet consumer needs might exist. So we'll go into here. And so that's going to start that process again. So what I'll do is I'll keep moving with the presentation, and then when we reach the end, then I'm sure it will be ready for us. Because it's exciting to watch it work, but it's sort of, it can be a bit monotonous as well. So while that goes, we'll begin to wrap up because we're reaching the hour mark, and it went so quickly. So I wanted to first tell you about some things that I've got coming up. So on Monday morning, if your organization doesn't have an AI policy, I'm doing a free session, 30-minute session on Monday, but it will be recorded. So if you do register and you can't come because of the time difference, of course, it will we'll email that to you. We'll email you that recording. And so that's the QR code for that. In that session, towards the end, I'm going to talk about a course I'm going to deliver in January, which is based on the research from my AI book that will help people, communication leaders, to integrate AI into their teams. And so it's over 6 weeks, and there's 2 live sessions with me a week, and I'll take you step by step on how to do that. So that starts on the 19th of January. So I'm working with a lot of organizations. I know there's can be pressure on from senior management to start using AI, but it can be quite confusing on where to start. So if you're at that stage, this is a great course for you to do that. And if you register for the session, you'll get a big discount on the course because, so that'll sort of help. And the session on Monday about the AI policy is like a little taster about what the course will be like. The other thing is that's my book, AI for Strategic Communication. And I'm really happy to say I've been contracted to do another book, so another volume of this because it's moving so fast. So that'll come out the end of next year or early the year after. And then I've got that's the social media book that was mentioned at the beginning as well. And I'm building a community on Facebook around the topic of AI for strategic communication, and marketers are welcome in there as well, and market researchers, of course. And in there, we're just sort of sharing and learning together about how we're using it. I do a live in there every Friday, and I do a free webinar every month as well. And so that's the QR code for that. Lots of QR codes in this session. So just to show you that, so we can all sort of learn together, because nobody is really an expert. We're all enthusiasts. We're all learning different things and using AI in different ways. So it's just a supportive place where we can do that. So let's go back now. Oh, it's still going. It's still going. So overall, I want to just bring home the fact that AI is great at sort of accelerating and amplifying you. It's not there to replace you. It's there to help you do your work even better. And it can give you a better understanding on things, and particularly with data analysis, it can help you to make better decisions. And you saw just there with those 2 demonstrations how fast they were. Really, I know it was sort of a bit cumbersome watching them in the context of a presentation, but what you can do is, what I normally do is I give it a task and I'll go off and do other things, and then I'll come back and then that will be completed. So rather than me having to do that all myself, so then I've got something there to then check and edit and sort of polish up to the way I want it to be. But it sort of fills that space between me and the empty page, or it goes off and does that research for me. And you can be very specific about what you want it to research as well. You can ask for peer-reviewed journal articles. The thing is, sometimes it can't get to all of them because of paywalls and things like that, but you can ask for more academic sources as well, of course. So remember, it's you with the AI, not the AI, and it's sort of it being empowered by the AI, and always add your human sparkle to everything. Never just copy and paste and send it out the door. And so while we're waiting for this final one, it's going, does anyone have any questions or anything they'd like to discuss while we wait for that final prompt to come through? Shakira. Would you like
Hi,
to?
Karen. Hi,
Hi.
Karen. Thank you for getting this. Right. So I'm actually using my colleague's system. Her name is Sharika, and myself, I am Prateek Sharma, and I lead the marketing in Nutriventia Limited. So we are a B2B ingredient company. And I just wanted to thank you for giving this insightful presentation in an hour. I'm not sure how my team is going to use it, but I'm very much impressed the way the contribution that you have made in this 1 hour. Because I have been training myself and I have been working on AI as well for past few months, trying to see what can be done in terms of learning, or it can be scientific research, and how marketing can be extensively using the AI thing. The kind of work what you have shown right now, I think that's very useful, and this has been very specific in terms of B2C marketing. However, with me coming here into B2B segment, I can see that this can also be widely being utilized in B2B area as well. And definitely, and I like the human sparkle of it. So all the time I've been saying this, that this is the human element which has been missing, but I think it's not the human element; it's the human sparkle, and I will make sure that. Thank you once again.
It's no problem. And if you need any assistance, please reach out. I'll have my email address available. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free.
Sure, and I have already registered for your free webinar as well.
Fantastic. Well, I'll see you on Monday, or you might get the recording, but I'll have my details in there too.
Sure. Thank you, Karen, once again.
Wonderful. Thank you. We'll check back. Oh, it's nearly there. Does anyone else have any other questions?
So hi, Karen.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So so we have various types of AI chatbots, the ChatGPT and Claude and so many else. How do you make a decision? Specifically, when you want to make a formulation, let's say, for any one particular thing, how do you decide which, the ChatGPT or which AI tool to be used?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, because and what is becoming apparent is they're all trying to keep up with each other. So they're all adding in new features all the time. So at the moment, it depends what you want to use it for. So Claude is very good at writing, and you can train it on your writing style, and it's very good at that, but it's not so good at other things. So with say ChatGPT, you can generate images, and you can get it to search the web and do agent mode and all those sorts of things. So it depends. What I would do first is look at the tasks that you want to use AI to help you with, and then find the tool that will help with most of those, because otherwise it can be very expensive if you start, trust me, because I'm silly and I've done it, buy subscriptions here and there. It can get very expensive very quickly. So I would look at the task first and the range of tasks, and then find the best option that will help you with most of those. So at the moment for me, I would say ChatGPT Plus is pretty good because it does a whole range of different things that I need it to do. So yeah, but they're all very different. I mean, even Google Gemini now, it can make video and images and all sorts of things as well. It can do deep research. I think they're just bringing in agent mode as well. So they're all competing, and yeah, so that's my advice, would be really looking at what tool can do most of what you want it to do, and then just maybe stick with that.
Right. Thank you.
And I think there was a comment. Francois Pierre said, thank you, it was really insightful, with very well thought out examples on how to approach the usage of such tool. Have to leave, no problem. Thank you. Let's see if it's, oh, it's ready. It's ready. It's like waiting for a cake to bake. So here we go. So ashwagandha supplement markets regional trends. So product formats and positioning. So it's got, you know, capsules and gummies. It has to straddle traditional and scientific narratives, which is interesting in terms of the storytelling. It's got leading brands there, which is good. And as we keep going further down, strategic insights for product development. So it's talking about different regions, and because things, it says one size does not fit all regions, which is good. So it's pretty comprehensive, and it's been very specific around what works in different regions of the world. And you could even just keep asking it. So like we did with the buyer persona, about coming up with marketing campaigns and things like that, or getting it to come up with audience personas for the, you know, for these particular products as well. Thank you. So I think I'll leave it there. I'll stop the share now, but I can make all of these examples available as well if you would like to look at them later. But I hope that was helpful, just to show two different ways that you can use some of the newer features on ChatGPT.
Sure, Dr. Karen, that indeed was a very informative session. The real-time examples that you have touched base on, it was really very insightful for all of us. Any more questions?
No, well, that's okay. But I will I'll provide all the slides, and you're most welcome to contact me anytime after the session.
Sure, Dr. Karen. Looking forward to many such opportunities in the future.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.
Thanks so much. Bye.